morning of a Bogart movie, in a country where they turn back time. You go strolling through the crowd like Peter Lorre contemplating a crime. She comes out of the sun in a silk dress, running like a watercolor in the rain. Don't bother asking for an explanation, she'll just tell you that she came in the year of the cat.
Solo. Ready? Ready?
She doesn't give you time for questions.
Alright,
She locks up your arm.
Oh, my wrist. My wrist. Cut the music! Cut the music! The wrists.
Oh no!
Okay.
It's bleeding!
Let's go and cut it. Luckily,
Cut it off.
Luckily, I am also
Tourniquet.
No.
Don't do
trauma
it, Doc.
surgeon.
Don't do it!
No! Okay. It's okay. Wrap it up. Okay, wrap it. Quick. Okay. Let's just hold it tight. It's okay. I'll hold it like this. Okay. I'm also a professional EMT, not just a professional drummer.
Oh.
Right. It's a little known fact.
Welcome! I'm a professional screamer.
Welcome.
Welcome, episode 106 of our GoodieRoom podcast.
GoodieRoom podcast, not the yet to be named.
I guess it's still GoodieRoom podcast for now, so
We're
sorry.
slackers.
We got some good stuff for you today, though.
Hold
I
on.
think
Some good
Gotta
creative.
take these off. Can't think straight with shoes on.
Barefoot.
You can't do any deep thinking with shoes.
Feel the ground.
I got slippery.
You gotta be grounded.
Okay.
God, that's a good ass song.
You're a great song.
You're the cat, Al Stewart. We don't have the rights for that.
No,
We don't. So don't sue us.
Don't
please.
pay us any money, and we'll be just fine.
We'll be good. And we're kind of used to that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we're used to not
paid for
getting money.
anything, which is good.
It
keeps us grounded
It keeps
again.
us humble.
It keeps us grounded. Hopefully that doesn't stay like that for much longer.
That's right.
We do it for the chicks.
Okay.
We actually don't really like money. We actually only do anything just because we love doing it.
It's called art.
It's called art.
It's called art. Okay.
Yeah.
And you should always be creating things.
Always.
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 And if you're not creating anything for humanity ever, then you should just go.
That is why I created this chessboard, not for myself or anyone else, but the entire world. Okay.
This is the world's
But
chessboard.
Luke actually did make this
I just-
chessboard.
Yeah, that is pretty
If
impressive.
you're watching us on the internet, not just listening to us, you'll see in front of us we have a new set to our new piece to our set.
That's right. Yeah, this is a
We'll
podcast.
throw in a solid slider shot of our
Maybe.
Probably not.
maybe.
I don't know if we can afford that.
I don't know if we
We'll
can
have
do
to
That's what we
talk
call
to the
production
producer.
value.
Producer.
Well, they talk to the producer on that one. See, Luke.
Seth, is that okay?
He's like, no.
Well, he said no. He said no.
Okay. So Luke actually lived a whole year with the pine wood. You know, just feeling out and understanding the wood.
Oh, actually, two different types.
Yeah.
Before he could even
we had
carve it.
a maple.
A maple.
And we have a cherry esophagus.
Oh,
wow.
cherry esophagus.
That's a rare breed.
It's a rare breed. Okay, so I got close to these two types of wood, and I decided, you know what? I think it's mature, and I think it's ready.
I think so.
So I killed the tree,
Murdered it.
Right.
and I built this solid piece of.
Well, I mean, you had to know how it would react with the cutting down and the shading.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But I no. In all honesty, though, spent about solid 2 weeks, made this thing. We were talking a lot about chess last week, is because we were in the chess osmosis mode from building this thing, and
Little known
fact:
fact: the
solid.
inside is lined with gold.
And secrets. Keep it secret and keep it safe.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we were talking about art and creating, and we should always be creating, I think.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think we should be
He's
stagnant.
a woodworker, kind of like Jesus. You know?
Jesus.
I was thinking about anyone to be a role model, and I was thinking, who better to be a role model from but Jesus himself, right?
You go.
What movie is that from?
I've never seen a movie before in my life. So
With
I don't know.
Zoolander.
Nope.
It's with Zoolander.
With
Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller. Yeah.
Meet the Parents.
His parents.
Oh. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Is it when he builds the thing? Owen Wilson, yeah.
A hopa?
I think you would call it a hopa.
Did some good woodworking though.
We put so much damn lacquer on that thing.
Speaking of lacquer. Ooh. Polyurethane lacquer. Oh. Nothing does it better.
Nothing does it better. But yeah, that's a fine chessboard. Yeah. Anyway, we become woodworkers now. We're done with film. So this podcast is going to be called the Woodworking Podcast, where we actually from now on we just talk about wood.
And not just
grains of wood,
yes.
types, what you can make with
the
wood.
different types,
different polyurethane
lacquers.
I
specialize
stains.
in making. I'm going to specialize in making pipes.
Yeah.
Pipe tobaccos?
Yeah.
Tobacco pipes. And he's going to make chessboards.
I'm going to make guitar bodies.
Guitar bodies. And have you decided yet?
I'm our expert on wood types. I can tell you any type of tree you want. I have a guide that tells me the type of tree you can find just by looking at the leaves.
That's
Did
awesome.
you know some types of trees are older than the pyramids?
Wow.
That's incredible.
He's actually really good at making wooden clogs too. He wouldn't tell you though.
He wouldn't tell you. He's wearing some. Don't look.
Don't look.
Yeah.
Basically, we've all got wood.
Yes!
That was inappropriate. We apologize to our viewers.
Segue into something maybe a little bit more productive.
Yes.
All right.
What is productive?
Well,
The essence of production.
that's the trick, ain't it? Do we have any projects we're working on right now? Trying to be productive?
No.
I just submitted a little short script to a little competition.
Tell us about it.
Do tell. I did. Well, I wrote a little 8-page script, short little comedy little thing. And it entered into this website called screencraft.org. They actually have a lot of competitions going on.
We'll put the link below.
We'll put the link below. And I think the short film one actually just ended, short script competition. That ended, I think if you win, you get like $1,000 and then consultation with some top managers in LA, whatever that means. That's basically all they said.
They'll send you an email like, hey,
good job
here's
on the
some
script.
advice.
Here's some money.
get yourself cleaned up.
Clean yourself up.
Try again next time, maybe with a feature film, buddy. Yeah. Anyone can write a short.
Some greasy old fat guy just walks into your house. Hey, is Luke here? yeah, we got his ones. Got his $100 bills.
You in ones.
All right, and also they wanted me to give you some advice. Maybe go down to LA and get a real job.
Because here's some advice. If she says no, it means no. Hold out your arm. And he burns a cigar on it.
It's just like, lesson learned, mother
Listen, learn.
Congratulations.
He just flies away in a biplane.
You won't last a day in this business unless you know that.
Dangerous business. But you already knew that, didn't you?
It's like Orson Welles, just like 50s, just like
He's still alive? What the?
Wow, you're a bitter old man.
You were just a bitter old man.
Stick to your day job. Like, oh, thanks.
Thank you, Orson
Quit your
Welles.
dreams.
Yeah.
Anyway, submitted that little short script yesterday. I think it ended. But they have a lot of other competitions going on. I think they have a feature comedy one that's going on, also a horror one that's about to come up. So you guys check that out. It's really cool.
We don't do genres.
We don't do genres either. But they also give you feedback as well. There's you can just submit your script if you want to, and hopefully you'll win or whatever. But if you want to pay a little bit more, you can get a little feedback on your script.
I think
which
it's
is
important for any level of filmmaker you are. I think we classify ourselves as amateur filmmakers, I guess. But it's important to always be writing, I think. I think we don't do it enough. But whatever level you are, I mean, you always have to be writing because that just kind of stirs your creativity, you know, and you get better every time you do it. You know what I mean?
And not just writing, reading too,
Reading
and
too.
watching movies. Like
Yeah.
I think the constant ingestion of good and bad. You know, I mean, we talked about Whiplash and Divergent. You
this
learn
could
from
be
really
any profession, but especially in the filmmaking profession, it's all about stories and the craft.
Exactly,
You know?
right.
So,
I mean, anything that you do, I think, creative, where you're creating something kind of out of nothing, or even adapting, you need to be able to kind of bring in a bunch of things. So it's like, you know, how are you even going to write a film if you've never like read a book or like read a good story, even just a novel?
Right.
You know, it's like what you expect to create some really good, you know, story out of a film. You can watch a lot of films. Same thing if you're like a musician and you're making, you know, music. You have to listen to albums. It's not like you can just, I only listen to this genre, so I'm only going to make this genre.
Right.
I think the people who are the best were able to kind of dip their hands into, you know, a bunch of different genres.
Yeah.
it
It becomes like a bunch of one rule I like to have is always to be reading a book. You know, it's like you finish one, you get the next one. You know, you're never not reading a book.
Faulkner's got this really, really cool quote where he says, "Read everything. Read crap. Read the greats. Read the literature, and then write. And if it's good, you'll find out. If it's crap, then you'll throw it out the window and just keep writing. You know." So just look at the greats and see how they're doing it, and
Do the same thing with filmmaking.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the greats are great, I think, because kind of like we touched upon last week, that's what they did all the time. That's all they did.
Right.
That's like what their focus was. So you know, Faulkner, when he was growing up, he was just probably reading and writing and writing. Even Kubrick, when he wasn't making films, I think he started off as like a photographer, but he was still behind the camera, still taking photos, watching movies, studying things. You know, he's pretty well. He played chess too. You know, so it's like
I kind of want to talk about the process of writing because to me that's one of the most I don't know, interesting parts. It's like one of the hardest parts, but also one of the most like liberating parts, because it's at that point of a project when you're just writing it, you have the most creative control, most freedom.
That's right.
You know, the least amount is at stake at this point, right? But it's also it seems like it's the hardest to get motivated for.
Right.
I mean, I think it's really hard just to sit down and just write something.
Well, I think there's two types of writers. There's this other writer. He had this quote where I'm not sure who said it, but there's two types of writers. There's one that's the architect, who knows the whole structure before he even writes it. He knows the characters, he knows the structure.
The J.K. Rowling's.
Yeah, exactly. Before he even sits down to write it. And then there's the gardener, where they're just sitting there and they just start writing, and it's an exploration process where they kind of follow their character and they just kind of create it as they go, and they're just kind of it's growing as they write it down.
Right. We had a writing professor, film professor at Sac State. His name was Professor Doug Rice, and he would always talk about in his creative writing classes how like you can't ever know, like his philosophy was you can't ever know what you're writing, you just have to write to figure out. If you know what you're writing about, why are you writing it? You know, he was very adamant on you're writing to explore and to create, and you don't, like, the less you know the better, because that gives you more freedom to write. Other people, like, if I've heard screenwriters say, like, you have to have your ending in mind, because then you can write towards that. If you have a great ending and you write towards that ending, then you know you're going to get to that spot.
And I think you also have to go into taking the fact that Professor Rice was also a novelist. He wrote, he didn't write scripts, right? Which are two very different things. You know,
true.
like
I think he has. I don't know.
Well, I think he tried writing a script one time, but also his novels are very like they're not even really. I don't know what you would classify them as.
very existential.
Almost it's a poetry novel in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Rice, we love
I
you.
mean, we could sit here and talk.
Rice.
I think the main thing, like, we could talk about the difference between a novel and a script. You know, I'm reading The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy right now, and you get 1/3 through the entire book, and you lost like kind of one of your main characters, and like it seems like there's a constant build up, and then all of a sudden, spoiler alert, kind of. And you just lose this almost main character, and you're just like, what the crap? Where are you going to go from now? And you can't really do that in a film because you invest maybe like half your movie in a character.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can do it. It's been done before, like Psycho and stuff like that, but it doesn't happen often. You know, if you're investing in a character and you all of a sudden lose it or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of differences between your script and your novels and stuff like that.
Well,
But
you see a lot of movies that are adapted from novels. It's very popular in Hollywood. And
for
sometimes
sure.
you can almost tell, like, you're watching a movie, like, this seems like it was made from a novel just because of the way the story structure is kind of panning out.
Yeah.
Because in Hollywood, it seems like there's almost a formulaic kind of structure to a lot of these movies. You can recognize the beats of a story, what's happening. Like, oh, this is the end of the first act. This is where all the problems come, and now this is the character trying to overcome those. And this is the end of the second act where he's down on his luck. He has no chance, but there's a little bit of hope, and he kind of figures out he has that aha moment. Third act, climax, rising action.
Yeah.
and novels don't necessarily have to like follow that at all.
Well, Kubrick said that anything that you can see in your head or envision, that you can film it. But that doesn't mean you should.
Good point.
I mean, like, a lot of people will think like, okay, I'm going to take this Hemingway book or Faulkner book and I'm going to adapt it and make it into a film.
Yeah.
I don't think you should do that.
No.
I mean, that's there's certain things that there's a limit to film.
Yeah.
You can't get inside someone's head. There's certain ways that you can kind of get close to it and imitate it, but you can't get in someone's head.
That's a good point. I remember when I took another class of Doug Rice's, and it was it was called Fiction to Film, and we would read a book and then watch its film adaptation. So we read, say, No Country for Old Men, and then we read the book, watched the movie. We read Dracula, watched the movie, and then a couple scenes, kind of different adaptations. There have been a bunch of adaptations of Dracula, right? So, but what he said, it's like in the book, you're allowed to do, like you said, you can get in the characters' heads in a book, which you can't do on screen, unless you're maybe having like a voiceover narration or something, which could maybe work, but you can't really show it. In a novel, it's different because you can, so there's stuff that novels can do that you can't do filmically. Now, on the contrast, there's stuff that you can do with film that you can't really do with novels.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it's like, so that's what's interesting when you say...
Well, I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's why it's interesting when you like adapt a book. There are certain things that you have to change. Like there's almost no verbatim adaptations because you almost can't. I think No Country for Old Men may have been, in my opinion, one of the best adaptations ever of a book that I've seen. Yeah. Because, I mean, there was stuff in the book that were sort of these like... It was Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, Tommy Lee Jones' character in the movie, but in the book, his character just had these little thoughts at the beginning of each chapter, and they weren't related. It was just his thoughts. They were like an italicized. It was a completely different thing, just almost like his brain. But what the Coens did when they had to adapt it is they took that and made it his dialogue, so that you would at least get into his head a little bit.
Right.
And I don't know.
I know some books and some novels lend themselves a lot better to film. Right. I mean, even like young adult novels. I think that's why those are so popular, because I know they're very visual.
That's true.
And those novels, I've read Mockingjay or the Hunger Games series, and then I read Maze Runner. The writing's it's not very good.
Yeah.
It's not very good writing, but it's for young adults.
Sure.
Right. But it's very visual, and you can imagine these 100-foot tall.
The concepts are like what's
really
really
interesting.
kind of
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I know. Same with someone like maybe like a Stephen King, who is a great novelist, and a lot of his books, have been transferred into some really good films. But the same thing is because his writing style is so visual.
Right.
Another thing that Professor Rice said was like King's one of these. If you read him slow, he's a good writer. Or no, if you read him fast,
he's a good
writer. If you read him fast, he seems like a good writer. But then if you slow down and really read him, he's not a good writer at all.
Yeah, same like with Faulkner. He said if you read Faulkner fast, he's a horrible writer.
Yeah.
But if you have to read him slow, you have to read the book the way the author intended it to be read, how he wrote it.
Yeah. You have to take like time with your books.
I think a lot of people say you can just kind of read a book. I think there's a difference between a bad reader and a good reader. I think having a book is an experience. You should not want to just finish the book. You should be in the book to enjoy
invest
it.
Invest
the book.
Right.
It's an experience.
Absolutely.
Most people don't read enough.
No, they don't. No, there's people that are proud of not reading. People at our work, we talk to them and we're like, yeah, have you read this? And they go, oh, I don't really like to read.
I don't read.
What do you?
Well, they had that Kanye West said something.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Was that real?
I
I don't even know if
that
that was
was
a real quote. But what was that quote again, though? It was kind of
He
funny.
basically said, "I'm
true.
proud that I'm not reading." More or less, didn't
Like
he say
saying
something
like I don't want other people's thoughts in my head.
I wouldn't want
that.
a book's autograph or something like that. Like
Yeah,
there was
but it
something-
sounded so perfect.
Oh, God,
It was so dumb.
Yeah.
so horrible.
Whatever. I don't.
No, but I think
like,
there's two things in your life that you can do to really kind of advance yourself and self-knowledge and knowing yourself, and that's traveling and reading books. And if you can't travel, reading books is what you
I
can
think
do.
that's the closest thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean-
think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, while reading a book, you can live someone else's life. You can get into someone else's head. It gives you a different way of seeing the world, of
That's right.
experiencing things that you would never ever experience. And that's the whole purpose of art. It really is to experience what the author is trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Let's say someone.
To live vicariously.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
An author, he paints a picture. I mean, an artist paints a picture in order for someone to watch that, to look at that picture, and to maybe experience what the artist was experiencing when they wrote it.
Kurt Vonnegut said there's two types of artists. There's one artist who comments on his history, his past, and there's another artist who comments on the world as a whole, like in general.
An artist, their experiences have to come through whatever medium they're whatever, and then the viewer picks up on those experiences. And whether or not the author or the artist is a good artist or a bad artist is how clearly that comes through.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. Some people's art and poetry, it's you can't understand it, and I think that's kind of to the fault to the artist maybe.
Yeah.
Granted that it shouldn't be like you look at it and it's like doomy. All the experiences are thrown in your face, and you don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to experience anything.
Yeah.
I think you should have to ask a little bit of questions and think about it. It should require a little bit of thought.
Dude, Rice always said good art should like provoke you almost. It should be. It should like most art should kind of make you feel uncomfortable if it's.
But
good
it shouldn't
art
be
because it's
cryptic.
No. Yeah, you don't want to like bury your meaning.
Yeah,
But
right.
I remember what I was going to say earlier is like when it comes to like people being proud of like reading books, I'm a little hesitant to put ourselves like up on a pedestal above other people because there's some people I've talked to that read a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of girls read a lot actually. Right. More I would say than maybe guys do than I've seen. They like just reading books, but like I think it's like if the more you read and the more that you look at art and stuff like that, it makes you just kind of more like an interesting and well-rounded person. Like you said, you become a little bit more cultured. But if you don't, then you just become this kind of like banal sort of like I don't want to say like uninteresting, but it's almost kind of uninteresting. Like I don't really have anything. If you're proud of not creating and not learning, like not learning.
Right.
And I admit I was like that when I was younger. I think most kids are. They're kind of like your mom's like, gotta do your homework, go read a book. My mom was always telling me go read, and I'm like, oh, she couldn't pay me to read.
Right.
But now it's like I can't read enough. There's so many books and so many movies and albums to listen to, and it's like, how do you even have time? There's so much art out there, and as we go on, it only keeps building.
Yeah.
Because now we have the contemporary stuff to listen to and read and watch, as well as the old stuff.
Right.
And it's like you're
And
trying
it keeps
to
piling up.
trying to sift
I think
through.
it goes back to people that don't read. If they don't read or look at art, they're kind of they're limited to their own ideas
They're
rather
limited.
than
You're right.
other people's ideas. You know, and they're not talking about ideas either. What they're talking about is like, what did Jeremy do yesterday? Oh, you want to go tomorrow and we'll go to the bars and we'll
just
do
very
nothing.
kind of like
okay,
on
well,
the surface.
very on the surface of like what's happening right now to me, rather than ideas and what concepts are going on around the world.
There's dumb people talk about the weather. Average people talk about other people, and then I guess like smart people would talk about like ideas.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. One of the main ways you grow in life is just by kind of stepping outside your comfort zone, and part of doing that is exploring everything you possibly can. You know, and reading lots of books. I mean, you know, they say like the point to life is changing and constantly growing, and never being content with where you are, and just really striving to get to that place. And I think, I mean, the best way to do that is talking to people or you know, taking in art, you know, kind of absorbing it and experiencing it. I think I agree with you guys. If you're not doing that, then you're limiting how much potential you have in yourself to grow as a person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're not just taking someone else's ideas into you and then regurgitating it. You're taking those ideas and you're thinking about it.
Exactly.
Right.
And then if you agree or changing it, and then, you know, give your own opinion. Don't just give me someone else's opinion. Have your own opinion.
That's why plagiarism seems to me to be such a it almost like you have to go out of your way to not try. I feel like almost inherently, if you're taking some ideas and you're thinking about them and examining them, once you put them out and you put them out in your own way, like your own unique way, you inherently have like unique perspective.
Right.
Just being a person, being alive, and having the experiences that you've had, you would almost like have to put it out differently. So unless you're just verbatim copying and like saying word for word something that happened without putting any thought into it, but if you just like even try, which is like a lot of filmmakers or say like guitar players or something, you can tell they have like a texture to them. They have a very distinct style. You know what I mean? Like you can pick up like you know, like a, I don't know, he's not like a Santana guitar solo.
Right.
You know it's Santana,
right.
just because that's like his style. That's his own perspective. Hendrix, you know, a Tarantino film, you know it because that's just the way he looks at it.
Right.
But you could tell he's still sort of paying homage to all these films that he's seen.
Right.
You know, he's doing this and this, but like the way he's kind of putting it back out there is very much his own
The way he
style.
he sees the world and the way he brings out his art is very inherently himself, and he's not trying to be different from everyone else. He is who. That's the thing is I feel like there's certain people that are like, I want to be different.
Yes.
And I just to be outside the norm.
Exactly.
And then there are people who are inherently different, who they are just doing what they do, and it's different. I think that's kind of like Godard. You know? He just saw the world differently, and this is how I'm going to make a film. And he kind of changed film.
I have to say, I think like we took that avant-garde class in college. It was pretentious. I feel like a lot of those avant-garde, like Stan Brakhage, were trying to be different.
Trying to be pretentious.
Trying, no, but they were trying like, I'm gonna, you know. I think there were some earlier ones like, who was that?
Well, I think it's also like kind of explorative process with avant-garde, like in its defense, is because I don't think they knew exactly what they're trying to do. What they're just kind of searching, you know.
Yeah,
they're like, okay, we're gonna go in, we're gonna start filming this, we'll film that, and then after they kind of watch it, they kind of say, okay, wow, that was a really cool technique. Oh, that really worked in this way.
Yeah.
And I think as like a narrative filmmaker, you can watch those and say, wow, that technique was cool. I can use that. But just as like an avant-garde film on its own as a whole, it's like, for me, it doesn't do too much.
No, it doesn't. I think it's like there wasn't any real substance to it, and I don't think I'm dumb for saying like it's above you. No, I don't think it is. I think Fog or whatever that thing where it's just filming fog rolling in on a static shot for like 10 minutes. There's nothing really to it.
I think that people that find meaning in those films where there's no meaning, isn't there a word for that?
Yeah, it's called douche. No, I don't know. I really don't know I don't know. Maybe if they find meaning to it, that's fine. But I really didn't, and I don't think it's because I'm stupid.
Yeah,
I think
it's not like the artist is trying to communicate some experience or idea. It's just like, okay, I made this, and if you see something in it that affects you, then good. If not, then
I guess you could say the same thing with like, I don't know, filming a building for 20 minutes or 2 hours. I think Andy Warhol
Empire.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
You guys
But
don't get it, man.
Well,
shut up, X.
I guess you could say the same thing about like a painting. Like, oh, this is kind of stupid, you know? But like, if you can invest 2 hours in watching a building and a couple like birds fly by, maybe you will get something out of it.
Warhol filmed for like 24 hours. It was a 24-hour film. The Empire, I think. I think people just came and go in the theater like all day. We're just going in and out watching it.
and he's in the back room laughing. He's like, they paid for it. They freaking paid for it.
Well, did you know there's like abstract art where it's like a red rectangle and then a yellow square next to it? Ooh, and it's like in rich people's houses. You, dude. Seriously, I'm over you. Like come on.
All of our abstract painting audience guys are just like, I'm out.
Tuning out.
I'm tuning out. And click.
No, I mean like no offense.
One of our 10 viewers.
Was it Pollock just
Yeah,
paint?
yeah, you just slam it. Yeah, which
And now
means
it's worth millions.
yeah, which is maybe cool. I don't know, whatever. I don't know.
We know nothing.
We really don't know anything. I
We're
mean,
not-
I'm not gonna say Picasso didn't know what he was doing.
I don't think we have like a deep knowledge of art of painting. You know,
Yeah, maybe
I think we're
Speak for yourself.
We're more.
We don't even have a deep
I will
knowledge
speak
of
for
film.
I would say we
We're
know a
trying.
little more about film or music than let's say like art like that. I guess. I don't
At least
know.
we're trying.
Like
At
you
least
can,
we're trying
you
to
can
think
definitely
about it.
compare like the abstract painting with maybe like an abstract avant-garde film. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like a kaleidoscope of random elements.
yeah.
You know,
But is
And
it
how-
random?
Is
I mean, if you're
artist
filming with no lens, like it's kind of random.
Just like, let's see what happens. Oh, this sounds kind of cool. You know, like I don't have a legitimate story to tell, but
Is it-
I like to film.
Dog Star Man.
Dog Star Man.
Eat ass. Sorry, I don't care.
Oh man, he filmed his wife giving birth, and we had to watch that.
Oh yeah, something water baby.
Yeah, this one, just water baby. Do you remember
Brackage?
That was
Yeah,
brackage.
brackage.
That was I almost passed out in class. I was just like,
Oh, yeah, there were some horrible ones. I think the only one that I liked was when they showed like Popeye at the end of the year. or
Popeye,
something.
yeah.
I was like,
Why did we watch that? I don't know.
I think
That's
maybe,
pure
maybe because it was like
And we're like, Popeye, make it easy for me.
I think I just contradicted everything we just talked about earlier. We're like, no, I think we understand art. And then I'm like, I like the Popeye part. I just like, sorry, but I don't know. I think like when it comes to, I mean, you're right. Okay, I'll give credit to like some of those films. At least they were. I mean, I guess the pioneers maybe kind of had to try and be different. If even just for like that impetus of trying to start kind of a new movement. But like you're right. I think the people who are just inherently different are the ones who are going to stand out more. Who
Don't
just see the world in a different way.
Don't try and be someone different. Just
Yeah.
be who you are and do what you do.
Faulkner wrote in a style that you could tell he wasn't. He didn't just sit down and go, "Oh, I'm gonna try and write like this." That's just the way he probably wrote.
Yeah.
He just read so much and just ingested it all. And when he was writing, he probably found his
That's
voice.
the thing that like most authors say is to develop your own style.
Exactly.
Like Hemingway had his own. He's very
Yeah.
his writing's very terse and
Yes.
like straight and short to the point. But there's like a beauty in that.
Yeah,
You know.
because I think didn't he used to be a journalist? He was a reporter for a newspaper, and so his journal entries were kind of like that.
There was this really interesting article he wrote. The Sun Also Rises.
Yeah.
And it was like double the length it is like the released version. And then he went back and then he just started cutting and cutting
really?
and cutting.
Oh, wow.
And that was like he was just like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it even more. I'm not being very articulate right now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But
now
I would say
now I'm
you you have to have balls to be able to go out and create something and put it out there. You know, like Stan Brakhage.
Yeah.
How many films does he have?
A lot.
Tons.
A lot. Yeah.
Tons. And like
I mean, he's doing
he's
it.
experimenting. He's going
Yeah,
out
yeah.
and he made a living from it. And we know his name. You know, we took a class on him. You know, like
Yeah.
like he may not be our cup of tea, but like people are watching his stuff. You know.
That is true. You know, that's a good point. I remember I think me and Axe might have been talking about this. Even like, you know, you can give shit to anyone, like anyone who's in the mainstream, and the reason they're in the mainstream is because they've gotten to this point.
Right.
Say like a Justin Bieber, most hated dude in the world, right? Or like in the U.S. Think of this. That means he got to this point, right? Which
America's
means
Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted. But I've read this thing, by the way, trivia, that he was on a poll, a U.S. poll of the most hated people. He was in the top 5, and the rest were serial killers.
Nice.
Poor guy. Which is why? Because he writes
Why?
songs. Here's the thing about Bieber, like all in defense of Bieber, is this dude
Bieber.
at least, at the very least, he is a douche, and I, whatever. But he put the work in. He was doing the rounds.
Yeah.
He was going in and he was recording this music and he was doing those open mic nights and he was uploading his videos to YouTube and he was doing little acoustic things on the street corner up in Toronto, wherever he's from. And he was doing the work to where the point he got noticed by one of these guys. He was singing, took lessons or whatever, and then Usher found him or something, kind of built him up, and he was doing these concerts and he's going out there and doing huge concerts every night for years, and finally he's like a millionaire. People don't like him, they don't like his music, that's fine, but like, what are we doing here? We're sitting here, we make like a podcast. How many movies have we made? Like 3 short films. Right. You know what I mean? And he's put out albums and gone on tour. So I don't like his music. I can maybe think that his lifestyle choices are a little kind of lame, but at least like he got to this point for a reason. And I remember there was this comedian, Louis C.K. He said that he actually didn't really want to be big, like this big celebrity comedian, because what happens is when you get to this point of celebrity, you start to seep in to the realm of people who don't know you and don't like you. So when you're this small kind of like guy and you have your niche audience, they like you, and that's kind of where you want to be. You get above that to this point where now you're on this pinnacle where other people who don't like you can see you, then you get that thrown at you. Right. So if Bieber had just stayed in like this little kind of corner in Toronto where all these girls liked him and that's what he played for and he just kind of kept his head low and that's what he did, he'd probably be okay. But he skyrocketed up to this point where the world saw him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they didn't like what they saw. And he got a lot of backlash. And that's fine. Right. Like they can give backlash and they can criticize, but what have they done? Mm-hmm. He's up here. Yeah. He's on top of the world. Very true. And he's got every girl wanting to jump his bones. And he's making millions of dollars, and he's driving cars that are more expensive than this f***ing house. Yeah. Like,
that's true, man.
What am I gonna say?
Exactly.
I'm driving an Oldsmobile Alero.
The Alero,
don't knock the Alero.
Don't knock the Alero.
But like,
it's been across the country.
But dude, he's done the rounds, and he's been doing it for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Bieber. Give me some money.
Retweet, Bieber.
Retweet, Bieber. No, but I mean, I guess that's kind of. You have to, so people like brackets, people that you sort of don't like you say, you have to kind of ingest all the stuff, bad or good, because you might find some sort of silver lining even in the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I
can take that or I can use that, Yeah.
I think
sure. For sure.
Is it time to wrap this baby up?
I guess.
Put a little package sent in the mail.
How long have we been going, Seth?
Almost 40.
Almost 40 minutes.
All right, I think that might be a fine. I think it was a good little podcast. I think.
Yeah. This was episode 106. We're gonna have 107 for you next week.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna try and do the music podcast. My idea. So it's gonna be kind of that to look forward to. We're gonna try to have themes and stuff.
We might try and have a guest on, a surprise guest, coming up in a week or so, a couple weeks maybe.
We don't even know.
We don't know who it is.
We're not sure who it is.
We're just gonna find someone on the street and bring them on.
Hey you!
Take their opinion.
We're just gonna open our door and just yell out the door.
Yeah, we're gonna stand and do this.
Open door podcast.
And it's gonna be a few stray dogs and maybe a cat.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and like the garbage man. I'm Tim.
Yeah, I got about 5 minutes. I got
guys waiting for me.
Make the round.
So Tim, what do you think of cinema?
He just drops some knowledge. He's just like, boom.
Yeah, it just
we're just like
mind blown.
And the rest of the 40 minutes is just us going.
And he's blinking. He's like, you guys didn't get that?
You guys didn't know that?
Well, all right, well.
And then that
luck.
podcast goes viral. Then he gets a job in Hollywood. He's
famous.
The next Spielberg.
Yeah.
He's
and
we're just still here. And
he's just critic for the New York Times. And we're just like,
remember that time Carl was here?
Please,
he was good. He was good.
Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Still with her on the bus and the tourists are gone, and you've thrown away your choice and lost your ticket, so you have to stay on. But the drumbeat strains of the night remain, and the rhythm of the newborn day. You know, sometime you're bound